Algoma?
I started with the city of Algoma in, February of 2014. And then I was just on a public works crew for a while. And then this last year, about a year ago, I took over as a public services manager, which puts me kind of managing the park and rec program, the Algoma Street Shop, cemetery, marina, and also the summer programs and stuff down at the park.
So if we were in a city like Chicago or Milwaukee or Minneapolis, there'd be about 25 people like you.
Yeah, probably.
But you're doing the job of all those people
Yep.
yourself. How many employees do you have that help you along the way?
Well, I guess above me we got Matt, and I get a lot of help from City Hall with some of the stuff, which is nice. We got another 4 guys on the public works crew, 2 full-time guys down at the parks all year round, and then during the summer we hire 2 part-time people to help cut grass and help with the flower program. At the youth club we got about probably 8 or 10 part-time people that help keep the club open on weekends, where they're doing the sales and watching over the kids that are there and making sure everything is up to snuff there. At cemetery we have 2 or 3 guys working during the summer, cutting grass and making sure everything looks good in there. And then at the marina we have usually around 3 people every year, helping fill boats, keeping things clean, and helping with any questions that arise down the marina.
Wow, that's quite a group. That should keep you busy.
Yeah, summer months are going to be pretty busy, but winter with the snowfall and everything, that keeps the guy busy too.
Mm-hmm. And you replaced Matt, is that right?
Matt is still the public works director, so he
Okay.
oversees me. I just took a big burden off of his plate with him now being city administrator, so
Mhm.
kind of took some of the responsibility away from him and gave it to me, where it gives him a little more time to do his stuff at City Hall.
Yeah, so it certainly doesn't sound like we have hired too many people for
No.
Algoma. There's enough just for you guys to keep busy all the time. My goodness. Any big projects coming up, like streets or anything that we should note?
So for the street department wise, this year we are slated to replace the infrastructure and the blacktop on Division Street from Jefferson Street to Fremont Street. That'll include new storm sewer, new sanitary sewer, some spots, some new sidewalk, a new curb and gutter where it's warranted. That stuff will be starting sometime in the next coming months here, hopefully. And tying into that will be 25. We're looking at doing another section of Division, which would be from, I believe, Fremont Street to Navarino Street. Kind of same deal there, where it'd be storm sewer, sanitary sewer, some curb and gutter, blacktop, all that kind of stuff. In the marina, we got to do some dredging. We were going to do it this spring, but we have to do some more testing and kind of get some more stuff in line.
Mhm.
So we were able, with the water levels not dropping too much, we're able to push that back now until fall, after the boating season is done.
Okay. Well, getting back a little bit to Division Street, do you do all of the work, or is that
Nope.
rented out to somebody else?
So the work on Division Street, all our street work, infrastructure work, that gets contracted out. It goes out to bid through Robert E. Lee is our engineering firm that we use, and they kind of help us get that out to the bidding process, and then they respond to us, and we select our contractors through them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you don't have to be out there laying blacktop yourself.
Nope, we really don't have the manpower anymore or the equipment to do so, so
Yeah.
we end up
Yeah,
contracting
I can
ourselves
just
out.
imagine all the equipment you'd need too.
Yeah, we got some of it, and if we had to do it with the guys we have, we'd be doing it for what they can get done in a couple months would take us a couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately.
Sure, yeah. It'd be like getting me out there with a shovel. Oh boy. Well, that sounds like a good project anyway. And you'd mentioned about the marina, and tell us a little bit about what we can expect there as far as the dredging and that sort of thing.
So for the dredging, we'd have a barge come in with a backhoe on it. They'd scoop sediment out of the bottom to get us our depths right now are a little shallower than we'd like. Most areas aren't of a whole lot of concern, but there's like a corner where we got to be careful what boats we put there. But it should not be a big impact this year. But so in fall, we're hoping to have a contractor come in and excavate a lot of the material underneath to get us the depth that we require again. So basically, they'd come in a barge. We'd likely have to shut down the marina because we can't have boats coming in and out of there, and we'd actually probably have to put a turbidity barrier, which is something that would help keep sediment from going out and fish from coming in, per requirements from the DNR. He would load it onto his barge, and then he'd slide over by the wall, and then we'd have a dewatering process set up in the marina parking lot. So he would offload his barge into a containment where it'd take time to dry down, and then we'd haul the sediment away.
Do you have to take that to any place in particular? Is it considered to be, I don't know, poisonous or anything?
At this time, it is not. We're kind of working through some other DNR. Initially, our plan was to haul it to some city lots and do some land applying. But before we do that, we just want to make sure we get all our ducks in a row to get that taken care of.
Mm-hmm. And like you say, you're working with the DNR, and that's to protect the fish.
Yep, the fish and the groundwater and all that stuff. There's about probably 7 or 8 different departments in DNR that all have a say in any dredging project throughout the state.
And I suppose 100 years ago, nobody worried a thing about that.
Yeah, no, it was.
You just dug it up.
Dug it up and hauled it away.
There you went. Okay. And you mentioned that you've been with the department probably about 9-10 years. Are you from Algoma originally?
Yep, I was born and raised in Algoma.
Uh-huh. Okay. Went to school here?
Went to school here. I left for a little while to go to college down near Chicago, and that lifestyle wasn't for me. So I'm back.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
Yep.
Exactly. That's cool. Now, you'd mentioned that along with the marina and the streets, you're also involved with the cemetery.
Yep.
What does that entail?
Cemetery is mainly just keeping up on the building maintenance and the lawn maintenance and trees in the cemetery itself. We don't do the burials ourselves, but we are in charge of maintaining all around the cemetery. It's basically like a groundskeeper would do at a golf course, just in a cemetery.
Mm-hmm. So you cut the grass and
Yep.
and maintain or try to avoid the weeds
Yep.
that might be there. And,
Yep.
and being sure that the trees grow and all of those things. Sounds like a pretty interesting job.
Yep, there's a couple guys there that spend a summer there. They do a very good job of making sure the sticks are picked up, the grass is trimmed around the headstones, and the grass is cut. And then in winter, or not winter, but in fall, they pick up all the leaves, and then the street crews come out. We come out with our leaf vac, and we pick them all up in fall to make sure it's good for the next coming spring.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That sounds pretty good. Now, you mentioned you have people that work in the summertime. Are those just part-time employees?
Yep, those are just part-time employees. The last couple years, we've been pretty fortunate to have the same people there. Some of them this year sounded like they were going to come back, but some decided they're old enough and it's time to enjoy their retirement. So we'll be looking for some new people to help out there over the summer months here.
All right. In some of the parks that I've seen, you see a lot of young people driving the equipment and everything, and it's kind of fun to see that too.
Yep.
Good. All right. And now the leaf pickup. I know that's a portion, as you mentioned, for the cemetery, but with the leaf pickup, how does that work in the fall?
So we have a citywide leaf pickup. We kind of, once we get closer to fall, we designate a time frame where we start, where we'll go with our leaf vac as long as we can to pick up all the residents' leaves if they get them out. We request that they get them out into the gut, past the curb into the gutter, and we come around our leaf vac, and we will pick up leaves basically until the weather does not allow us anymore. Once it starts snowing, unfortunately we don't have time to pick up leaves anymore,
Sure.
and then we got to focus on snow removal
Yeah.
because we use some of the same equipment for both, so we have to change it over from leaves to being able to plow
Yeah,
snow.
so you're either going to be doing one or the other,
Yep.
basically. Now, I know some communities, they say, oh, don't put any of the leaves into the street, but in Algoma,
In
that's
Algoma,
what
we
you do.
prefer it.
Mhm.
Now, our brush pickup, that's a different thing. We like our brush pickup. We request that you trim your branches to a manageable length, which for us, it can be fairly large, but as long as the butt end is towards the curb, but those we do not want in the street. Those we actually want on the back side of the curb. We pick up brush during the summer months, the first and third Monday of every month, or weather permitting, it might be Tuesday, it might be Wednesday, but every month we try to get out at least twice to do brush pickup.
What happens to the brush and what happens to the leaves when you got them?
So the brush, we come out with our brush chipper and we chip it all up into wood chips, and if somebody wants them, they're more than welcome to call and we will arrange something. Either they can pick them up, or if it's in town, we can deliver them. If not, we dump them on our mulch pile up at the street shop. And leaves, it's the same thing. We pick them up, we suck them up, they get blown in the back of a truck. Well, now we have a trailer that does it, but it gets into a hopper, and then we go and we dump the hopper up at the mulch pile. And then usually once in spring, once in fall, we have a big tub grinder come, and then it grinds it all up, and that's where we get that mulch that people are free to come take at the street shop.
Okay, so there's certain times that people can come, or is it pretty much any time?
Anytime. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, the mulch pile is not gated or locked, and you can come and pick that up anytime you want. Any yard waste can be dumped anytime. There's no set schedule.
Okay. For somebody who might not know it, where's the street shop located?
So the street shop's located at 1520 Jefferson Street. It's right on the highway on the west side of town.
Okay, for anybody who also doesn't know that, Jefferson Street is Highway
Highway
57.
54. 54.
I get all those numbers. 29, 54, 57, 42. Okay, all right, well, that's good. And now you do other things as well, and you'd mentioned about the youth club. How are you involved there?
So basically, I manage the youth club as well. So every Friday and Saturday, youth club is open. Not every Friday and Saturday, but most Fridays and Saturdays, we have some high school kids and some also younger adults that open youth club every Friday and Saturday night from 6:30 to 10. It's a chance for kids to get out of the cooped up house, especially in the winter months, where they can get out and play in the gym. There's food and refreshments that they can purchase while they're down there. That's basically the main thing. And then we also do host parties there. If somebody wants a party, they can call, and if the day is available during the day, they're more than welcome to rent the facility. It's not much of a fee at all, but then it's open. They can use a gym. You can bring in your own food, whatever you'd like. A lot of people have birthday parties there. There's a graduation party people are looking at coming up here. So,
Cool.
yeah, we just book that out as frequent as we can.
Okay, any age limit on people who can use the youth club?
Yep. So Friday and Saturday nights, I believe it is 6th grade and up. I believe it is what it is. So they can come in and with a parent's permission slip signed and a membership fee of, I believe it's $10. They are free to come every Friday and Saturday.
Okay, well, that sounds good. And I imagine you get a lot of use out of that. That's been around for a long time, I know.
Yep. Fortunately, we haven't had staffing issues down there, so we're able to keep it open as much as possible. We do close around some holidays, like if 4th of July or Christmas or some of the holidays fall on the weekend, we will close for the weekend. Or like some things, since a lot of our workers are in high school, prom and homecoming and home football games, we'll tend to close down.
Somebody's probably not going to give up prom to
Yep.
run
and
the
I don't
club
blame
that day. Yeah, no, I can understand that too. Now, you do all this work, and to me, that would say you don't have time for anything else. But I understand you do some fishing.
Yep. So during the summer months, I help out with one of the local charter businesses, and I run trips pretty much every Saturday and Sunday throughout the summer, basically from end of May into September.
And how many different charter fishermen are there in this area? I know there's got to be a lot.
Oh, there's
because it
quite a
draws
few.
So many people.
The one that I help out with, they have about 10 boats that they fish with, and then in the city marina alone, there's probably 7 or 8, 9 different charter businesses that run just out of the Algoma City Marina itself.
Yeah, and I know some people rent homes and everything else that you can do there. What kind of fish are the primary ones that you fish for here?
So the biggest thing that everybody likes to come fish for here is the king salmon. Last year, one of the boats, actually a boat that was parked right next to me, they came in this year with a 40-pound king salmon, which is
Wow.
amazing. That's a big one. We get a lot of people come for the kings. We'll also catch a rainbow trout and a couple cohos here and there, some pink salmon, and lake trout.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any perch or bass?
Not on the lake.
Uh-huh.
You can catch some in the rivers, but we're not usually targeting them on the lake.
That shows my ability about how much I know about fishing. But I used to fish; it was fun. But I'd catch a perch maybe once a year. But that's good. I'm glad you're doing so well, and I know it's a real attraction for people in Algoma and people that come from long distances all over the country. Really.
Yep.
Yeah. Now your hat. I can see on your hat, it says Groessl Custom Taxidermy. So you, along with fishing, you do taxidermy too?
Yep. So basically during the winter months to keep myself busy, I do some taxidermy. I do some deer. I try to keep it 10 or less just to keep my family happy as well, because they take up a lot of time as well. So it's something to do to pass some time. It's a nice little hobby I have. And
Do people bring? Obviously, you don't go out and shoot 10 deer.
No,
right?
no.
That would be pretty illegal.
Nope. And if I shot 10 deer, it'd be hard to shoot that many. I don't have that many on my wall of my own. So
Yeah, absolutely. But people, they just contact you and
Yep.
say, "I have a deer and I'd like to."
Yep. A lot of it's word of mouth. Kind of some friends. I started doing it for some friends, and it kind of just expanded from there, and got my license doing it and that kind of stuff.
Where do you get a license for that?
Yeah, through a DNR. You have to do some paperwork, and you have to have a sales tax form and all this stuff to please them. So
Sure. Yeah, that's great. How do you ever just get heads to stuff, or do you pretty much do the whole body?
and it's always pretty much just shoulders up. So
Okay.
yeah, but it's basically just the head is what they get.
Yeah. Well, I had a rental unit, and I gave one of those heads that was one of my renters had left down there, and gave it to a friend of mine, and he said, "Oh, that's going to be great," And he's got this whole garage, I guess, full of these heads that deer heads is, I guess, mounts, how you describe them.
Yeah.
So that's good. It seems like we've covered a whole lot of ground. We've talked about what you do as the public service manager, and we've talked about fishing. We've talked about taxidermy. Is there anything else that keeps you busy?
I'm on the fire department. So
Oh.
I've been on the Algoma Fire Department since 2006. So that takes up some time too. I enjoy doing it. It's something my dad did it. My older brother does it. My younger brother does it. So we kind of made it into a family affair there.
Mm-hmm. So it's just voluntary?
Yep, it's
pretty
just
much
volunteer
what you
here in
do?
Algoma.
Yeah. Well, that's
So if anybody wants, we got open spots. If anybody's interested in joining, I can contact Chief Ackerman or even myself, and we can
Okay.
get you.
That
signed
sounds
up.
great. How many firemen do you have? And I know it's hard to keep track of all that, but
So I think on our roster we have room for about 36 people. We currently are sitting, I believe, around 28 or 29.
oh,
That's just firefighters, and there's also a whole number of EMS members that are on as well.
hmm So I suppose you also get involved in saving people's lives and that sort of thing. You have to know first aid.
Yep. So I'm actually EMT IV tech. I used to run rescue on a regular basis. Now I just kind of fill in here and there. But yeah.
Wow. Whew, I'm exhausted. You've worn me out. Is there anything else we haven't covered? I think we've talked about everything I can imagine.
No, the other thing we got is the new playground that's going up.
Oh,
on
the
Perry Field.
playground, yes. Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. Tell us all about that.
So unfortunately, on a playground it's no longer there. We ripped a bunch of it out to prepare for the new playground coming in. The playground that was there was about 20 years old because my older brother used to work for the parks when he was in high school as a summer temp, and he remembers digging the holes and pouring the concrete for the footings. Unfortunately, that playground was no longer serviceable. It was in pretty rough shape, and to repair it would have cost quite a bit of money. So we decided to approach the city and use some capital funding to replace the existing structure that was there. So we're going a little bit bigger footprint that's there. We also had to replace a bunch of swings because the swings were no longer in compliance. They were too close to other pieces of equipment. This structure that's coming up should be good for another, well, I hope more than 20 years now. Not exactly sure on the installation date yet, but there's some cool features. There's a 3-story slide that's there. There's a nice climber. There's also this thing it's fairly new that I'm kind of excited about. It's called the Movement. It's something where it's an electronic game, but you have to charge it up yourself. So a kid walks up to it and cranks on this dial until it says it's good to go. And then it's almost like a Simon Says game where you got to follow the dots. And I think that piece is about 15 feet wide, so you can get some good movement in there. Some of the equipment that was there is staying. There was a swing that was donated by the Ebert family that is staying in place, absolutely. There's a few climbers that we're going to relocate, but for the most part, most of the stuff will be brand new.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. Now, I suppose over the years there's different safety-minded things. They make improvements to equipment. Will this be considered safer maybe than some of the old
It'll be definitely be safer from the aspect of I would call it the stability of it. Through the years, the winter has heaved, causing pieces to crack and break, and sometimes you just don't see it. Material-wise, it's a lot more plastic, which they're saying gives you they got a longer warranty on the plastic parts than the metal.
Mm-hmm.
All in all, it's going to be safer because your fall heights are no longer there because it's kind of, I don't want to call it caged in, but it's boxed in like around the top level of the slide. You'd have to climb from the outside of the equipment to fall from the highest point. Mm-hmm. So in general, it will be safer. There'll be some stuff for some younger kids, some smaller slides, some baby swings, some swings where a parent and a child can sit in the same swing. If you have a kid that gets scared with being by themselves a little bit. So
I always used to feel like I was going to get sick to my stomach on the swings. I never did real good on those, but and what's going to be on the ground underneath it?
So we had to there was wood chips. We're going to stick with wood chips. We got a lot of yards of wood chips that we had delivered from the local sawmill here, and once the equipment's in, we'll be filling some areas in, and then we'll be putting all new chips over the top.
Okay, and this is all going to be at Perry Field, right?
Yep, Perry Field.
Okay, Perry Field. Give us an address for that too.
Oh, I don't know.
I know
the
a lot of
address.
people know where it is.
But basically, the access to the playground will be off of Steel Street between Division Street and Division Street and 6th Street. It's the baseball diamond is attached there. It's where football games take place in the fall months.
Okay.
So
good, because there's a lot of people that watch this that aren't necessarily familiar with the city as much. Mm-hmm. So good. All right. And how many pieces of equipment are you going to have out there? I know it's hard to count though sometimes.
It's kind of one so the swings are kind of their own unit. It's 4 bays of swings, so there'll be 8 swings, and then there'll be 3 existing climbers that we're moving. The merry-go-round is staying. There's some smaller stuff that's staying. Of the new stuff, it's one, they call it a nucleus is the biggest piece, but it's probably about 7 or 8 different pieces that are put together in one. Mm-hmm. I believe the capacity on it'll be about 40 kids at a time.
Wow. That's great.
If need be.
Very good. Okay. I think we've covered the waterfront and the playground front and everything else that you do. So keep up the good work.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much for being with us
Thanks
today.
for having me.
We've been speaking with Casey Groessl, and Casey is the Algoma Public Service Manager here in Algoma. And that's going to do it for our show today for your city, your county. We thank you so much for being with us today. And we hope that you'll come and join us once again when it's time again for Your City, Your County. We hope you have a great day, and so long, everybody. Bye-bye.